junk journals and free stuff, and using the free stuff in my junk journals. That's what I'm talking about in today's video. I'm also going to show you a method that I use for storing some of my free papers and why this is a really good technique for taking papers with you somewhere, a project somewhere, if you're going to be on the go. I'm Marguerite Miller. I'm a collage artist who likes to use vintage papers in my collages. I also like to create junk journals, and this month I am doing a collaboration with Meg from Meg Journals, who is doing this project called Junk Journal July. Every day there's a new prompt to kind of inspire you and give you an idea of something to work on in your junk journal, and my prompt is free. What I want to do is show you some examples of free things that you can collect and put into your junk journals. So I've been making junk journals for about 10 years, I would say. Sometimes I could get really fussy and buy downloadable kits, downloadable printables. I would look for specific papers and just really hyper focus on what I wanted my junk journal to look like. But then there's the other kinds of junk journals where I just take things, extra pieces, extra leftover bits that are in my workspace, paper pad pieces that I would never use anywhere else, things that I've cut out of magazines, just more of a everyday, throw everything in kind of junk journal. And these kinds of junk journals have been the ones that have taught me the most about making junk journals. They've also been ones that I thoroughly have enjoyed creating, sometimes even more so than the fancy ones. Why is that? Why would that be? It is because I'm in a more relaxed mental state. I'm not hyper-focused. I'm not just obsessing about how I want my junk journal to look. I'm enjoying the process of just putting things in, gluing things, not really giving a whole lot of really precise thought to how my pages are looking, and it's more of a relaxed and enjoyable process. So I'm going to do a flip through of one of these kinds of journals. There's all kinds of examples of papers that you can find for free, or they're upcycled from other sources. A lot of these ideas, they're not going to be new. They're not new to you. However, what I do want to do is to remind you that you can do these things so that you can incorporate more of them into your own junk journals. So here we are. This is a junk journal that I created out of a cracker box. I sewed in 4 signatures, and the signatures are made of a bunch of random papers that I will show you examples of in just a second. But for the covers, this cracker box was a little bit on the thin side for sure. So what I did was I had these paper, kind of a thick cardstock. This cardstock came from when I ordered a bunch of t-shirts, kids t-shirts for one of my kids, and they had these kind of paper dividers or things that kept the t-shirts straight inside the packaging. So that's what these are. These pieces here, this was a Lego piece, this green. This dark brown is just like a Scotch tape, and then when the tape runs out, there is this spool, this plastic spool. That's what this is from the Scotch tape. And then this little one is from a spool of thread. When my thread finished, I kept one of these, and then if you dip it in acrylic paint, they make this nice little design. So the papers that are in here are just crazy scraps. Stuff that I did, stuff that my kids did. I have a little pocket here, and I have an old Valentine. I made this junk journal in 2016, so my kids were about 3 and 5 years old. So I had a lot of things, floating around the house that I wanted to just kind of incorporate and put in here. This is a piece of wallpaper This is a piece of coloring book page, just, a small portion. I love to incorporate these kinds of little tea bag covers and then glue something inside that reminds me of the kind of tea that I'm drinking, or also pretty much glue anything that will go with the color scheme of what's going on around. These are 1-cent stamps from the post office, and you can buy a sheet of 20 1-cent stamps for 20 cents. I love to use these and to incorporate these into my collages. In addition, these are the Tiffany lamps. I think these are quite old, 2008. Recently they have really beautiful flowers, 1-cent stamps, 2-cent stamps, 5 cents. So it's extremely inexpensive to get a sheet of awesome postage that you can put into your collages. Now, this is a page from something that I found at my local library for free. So in my library, there are these bins, and the bins are for people to bring back their used magazines that they don't want and to leave them there and to pick up new ones, right? So sometimes these bins are overflowing with stuff. Sometimes these bins are practically empty. The last time I went, they were really, really bare. But let me show you what I got this last time, which was just like a week ago. So I don't even know what these things are because I don't, understand this language. But it has all this beautiful text in it, some illustrations that are interesting. And I like that it's super thin. It's almost like a newspaper. So I definitely am going to look forward to cutting this out or cutting pieces out and using them in my collages. Here's another one. I have no idea what this is. Maybe something with tourism? No idea. But again, just great blocks of text that I can use in my collages. Not quite sure. There might be some illustrations that I can cut out of this, or pieces of map. That would be interesting as well. I got this. House Beautiful. I love looking through architecture magazines and cutting things out of this. So this is going to be fun as well. Sometimes they have these travel brochures as well. And what's good about them, this first of all is printed on really thick paper. It's sturdy and heavy, and the pictures, the photographs are just really good quality. They're beautiful. So I can cut these out and use them in my junk journals. So libraries. Libraries are a great place to look for free stuff. And if you don't see something, just ask, right? Ask one of the librarians. Tell them what you do. Tell them that you are working on an art project and that you're looking for materials to use at, for free that you can incorporate into an art project. If they don't have anything at the library, for sure they'll be able to point you in some direction of where they would recommend that you find something as well. I didn't mention that at the post office, so I have a P.O. box, so I go into the post office. There's a huge recycle bin in the post office where people just throw their stuff that they don't want out of their mail. And I'm not saying dumpster dive. I'm not saying go through the recycle bin in front of everybody and pull out stuff. That might be a little embarrassing. But when I throw something in there, I always take a look just to peek, to see what's in there. Sometimes it's just even return address envelopes that I want, or who knows, right? Who knows what's sitting in there? So, and also there's magazines or brochures or advertisements, something that catches your eye. Recycle bins can be a good place to look for free materials. So here I have this little envelope. This was a return, pay a bill envelope I put into here. I do believe what I did was I opened the sides, the top and the bottom, and then where I tied in the signature is in there. And then when I glued this back with double-sided tape, then it became an envelope once again, and it's hiding the stitch from tying in the signature. Now these guys, these are paint chips that I got from the Home Depot, which is a place where you buy things for building, right? Now I loved these paint chips because they were interesting combinations of colors that I liked to see, right? And they had these really pretty images here. So these three I just put in here for, you know, interest. Sometimes I did take things from food packaging, and it's not that I'm a huge fan of Arrowhead, it's just that I liked the colors, I liked the type fonts that are used, just the way something is designed can be very interesting, right? These companies, they spend a lot of money on their labels, right? They hire professionals to create their packaging and their labels. So they're meant to be looked at and to get your attention. And if you like something, no matter what it is, you know, you like it. And so I like to sometimes hold on to packaging, to things that attracts my attention and that I like. Here I just put in this little tiny pocket, really rough, right? It doesn't have any nice folds. It's literally 3 pieces of washi tape and a rectangle paper that I just taped onto there. Now, punches are a great way to make not so interesting papers interesting. So this was obviously a map. Now here's another free tip. In the United States, there is this automobile association, we call it the AAA, and it helps you, you know, navigate. That's what it used to do, help you navigate highways to figure out where you're going. Before GPS and all this stuff, they provided maps for free, if you remember. And in the past, I had gone in and asked for a map if I was going to drive to Arizona or whatever, right? I've had maps from trips that I took in the past that I've gotten from the AAA. And so that's what these are. And these are just round punched, you know, circles, whatever, right? You can choose what's going to be in the punch, or it can be totally random. But these shapes can be a lot of fun for putting into your junk journals. This is a rubber stamp, and what I did was I simply looked for a color that would complement this cover, and I just stamped it. That's it. That's as simple of collage that you can make. Now, tags from clothing, sometimes they are interesting, so I kept this one. And this is a piece of box of Kleenex. Now, I collected, or I saved a bunch of, you know, cardstock that I could use, and I think I must have just done some art projects with the kids or something, but some of them turned out pretty nice, or at least very colorful and interesting, so I kept them so that I could put in these pockets. Here is another Valentine. I have every year, of course, you know, when you have little kids and grandkids, they need Valentines for school. The grocery stores tend to sell them, of course, right before Valentine's Day. Some of them are so darn cute. Some of them are Hello Kitty or whatever. And then after Valentine's is over on February 15th or 16th, they're hugely discounted, right? They're like 50% off, 75% off. So sometimes I will get a box of Valentines just for myself to use some of the Valentines in my collages. Cutouts from magazines. I love Better Homes and Garden because they do this thing in their magazines where, you know, they showcase somebody's garden, of course, and then they draw or have the illustration of the garden in the house. And I just love these. They're so pretty to put inside of a little junk journal. This in here, a couple of interesting things. Here's the packaging for a tea box. Did you know inside of this, they have printing on the inside of their box? And I cut this out so that I could color this in with some colored pencils, and it's so pretty. Look how pretty that is, right? So that's something else that you can put into your junk journal. This is another sheet of origami paper, and it's just folded unevenly so that there is a bit of, you know, one side is longer than the other. And that is where I tied in my signature, right, on the very base. And then I, of course, just glued the top and the bottom, and I'm all set. Here's another piece of coloring book page. The other side of that envelope. This must have been more underwear. This was a rub-on, but you can also put papers through your printer with interesting things, and they're fun to play with. Now this was a paint chip where I punched out the colors and then used it in a small collage, and another round piece of map, of course. Stickers, another pocket. At some point, I think we must have traveled somewhere, not sure. My dog chewed up a dollar bill, and so I stuck it in here with a little bit of other things for a collage. This guy here came from the Trader Joe's Fearless Flyer, which is a monthly flyer that they make for advertising what they have. Here's another piece of origami paper where I have the stitch inside here. Sometimes when you have pattern paper that you don't love and it's blank on the other side, set it on your table, on your workspace, and you can use it as kind of like a drop cloth where you clean your brushes, where you wipe off extra ink from your rubber stamps, and that way some kind of interesting pattern emerges sometimes, and you can cut out pieces and use those in your junk journals. Another of these tea bags. Here is that paint chip where I have the hearts punched out of it. Another piece of packaging that had something that I was playing with inks. Another piece of packaging, this was for tea. I've got a paper bag. Here's where I sewed in another signature. More packaging for sparkling water, and something else here for probably socks or underwear for my 3-year-old at the time. And here's the back cover. Now, let me show you how I store some of my free papers and this little stacking system that I use to be mobile. So I'm at that stage in parenting right now where I am constantly taking somebody to practice. I'm driving somewhere with someone all the time. Sometimes I drop them off, sometimes I stay for the practices, but it's really nice to be able to bring something with me if I'm going to be a little bit longer and I need a project to work on. So I have these stacking containers. I got these in the bargain bin at Target, and it's just 2 of them. You could, of course, do more. Inside is this, how do you call it? It's kind of like this thing that allows the containers to stack nicely on top of each other. And it is about, I've got about 2.5 inches height-wise. And so I'm able to put actually quite a few things in here, including this little tin where you can probably guess what I have in here. Postage stamps! So I have that. I have, of course, scissors and glue and a little bit of washi tape. So that's at the bottom. And then this goes on the top. I don't really care that much about these papers. They are just random things that I cut out of magazines, advertisements, postcards that I found at stores, just any kind of you know, old photos, right? I even have things like get started, user guides. Sometimes when things are in different languages, oh, so here we go. This one is in French, right? A whole bunch of different languages. These are fun. So you get the idea. It's just a random selection of things. And random is good because sometimes you don't know what you're looking for. So I have my bins and then I just place it in my bag and then I'm able to carry it wherever I need to. So this is really good for traveling, for example, but it's not like I'm going to be traveling cross country. Sometimes it's enough that I want to just go into the backyard, or I've got a table outside that I want to collage on and not just be in the same environment every single day, right? You can move from room to room with this. Do it in front of the TV, right? It's just the ability to be mobile, which really is the best thing about this. So I hope you now have a ton of new ideas of where to find free materials to put in your junk journals. If you're looking for more ideas of what you can put in your junk journals, then check out this video I did about 8 creative ways to use old book pages. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you the next time.